Now, you mentioned work-life balance as a part of having a family.
Yeah.
Ohio State, now you're in Maize and Blue.
Yes.
Which, you go back a couple decades and female faculty member, they weren't allowed to have work-life balance to be able to be successful within the university.
That's right.
What is your secret?
Okay, are y'all ready? Now this works for both men and women. And Mike T, who's my amazing chief of staff, loves this question. First quote you should all understand and fully embrace. Work-life balance is a lie. Write it down, repeat it with me. Work-life balance is a lie. Thank you for that. I tried that. And I tell this story, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a philanthropist, like you're executive, and you were trying to make sure work and life balanced. And I just felt like I was taking an L every day because it never reconciled. So I never felt like I actually did my work well and mommy duty well, or that it reconciled that as I was working really hard, I was still a really great daughter or a great wife. And so I remember living in New Jersey, and I lived in like the part of New Jersey where I literally drove to the bus stop, like a commuter bus. And then you take the commuter bus to New York City, to the Port Authority. And then you either walk 20 minutes to the office or you take a cab or something. All right. So when I woke up in the morning, I did not see my children. And when I got home, I did not see my children. And I remember one evening leaving the Port Authority, and it was like the last bus. So I'm in business attire. The last bus is full of everyone going to the casino. They were not, leaving the office. And I remember I broke down crying, and I called my husband. And I just said, when I wake up, I don't see the kids when I get home. Now, my husband, aside from him being a Buckeye, he's a Marine and an engineer. And, so everything is very matter of fact. He said, then quit. I was like, that's not the point. He goes, he's like, now we'll have to make some adjustments, but, if you're not happy, then quit. And, of course I was like, that's not the point, But that's when a shift happened. And so let me tell you what I now subscribe to, and I've done it for several years. I choose to live my life like a diversified portfolio, which means there's only 100% allocation. There's no such thing as 150%. So we have to stop telling ourselves those untruths. I only have 100%. Just like a diversified portfolio, you write down everything that matters to you. For me, it's being a mom, a daughter, a sister, a friend, an executive, a philanthropist, a wife, everything that matters, and allocate. Again, you can only allocate 100%. Here's the truth. My children don't get 100% of me. I'm here right now. I've been traveling. They probably get 30%. That's the truth. The reason why I say it's so important to lead with the truth is because I'm so much more present with my children now, because I realize they only get 30%. So within that 30%, they will get 100% of me. That's when I stop the multitasking. Yeah, mama, yeah, kick the ball, okay, yeah. I put it down because now it hits different, because I didn't tell my lie, I have 150%. I also recognize, just like a diversified portfolio with your money, you cannot put everything in one stock. That's a lot of risk. My company, TIAA, no matter how much I love it, and I love it so much, they do not get 100% of me. My husband does not get 100% of me. Because to put everything, 100, all of your allocation into work or into one thing, that's a lot of risk, that's a lot of volatility, and by the way, that does not represent all of who I am. And so if you live your life like a diversified portfolio, just like your money, you give yourself permission to respond to market volatility. So that when my dad was diagnosed with cancer, I realized I needed to over-allocate to really engage as a daughter. Or when I can tell that my children are really missing mommy, I give myself permission to reallocate, to be more present. Or when I'm starting a new job, like having the privilege to lead TIAA, I needed to over-allocate my allocation. But when I'm managing it just like a diversified portfolio, once that market condition shifts, you give yourself permission to shift back. And so instead of trying to be superwoman, as that's what the S on the chest was, it was spent. Instead, I now give myself grace to respond to the market conditions. Because if you live your life like a diversified portfolio, sometimes you have to short the stock. Okay, what that means, sometimes you're holding on to something that's giving you losses, and you have to cut your losses and reinvest what you have into something more positive. Sometimes you have to short the stock and let it go, things that are not giving you an accretive return in your life. So if you live your life like a diversified portfolio, just like what a good advisor that we have in this room, several of them will tell you, you will outperform over time. So I live my life like a diversified portfolio because I understand that over time, I am outperforming this thing called life. In any moment in time, I may not be the best mommy, but over time, I'm a really good mother. There's some days I don't feel like I'm a great CEO, but over time, I think I'm a pretty good CEO. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm a great daughter because my parents are in Texas and I'm in Connecticut, but I know I'm a really good daughter. So live your life like a diversified portfolio. Give yourself permission to respond to the volatility of life and recalibrate, and know that if everything that matters to you is in your portfolio, you will outperform this thing called life in the same way that if you have a diversified portfolio in terms of how you manage your money, you will outperform. So I choose to live my life like a diversified portfolio. Do not succumb to work-life balance. I hope that is helpful. It is so helpful to me, and it makes me feel really great about having joy in terms of how I'm living my life.